Hi everyone, welcome to another week's video. I hope you are doing well. It's very warm here in Dublin. I know it sounds strange. Dublin doesn't look like a sunny place, but it's roasting over here. So I had to close a bit of my blinds here at the bedroom. I hope the lighting will be okay. And today I am going to share with you a little tiny mini art haul. I bought a few things, mostly palettes that I want to fill in with paint, and I thought it would be nice to bring you in this process here with me. So without further ado, let me share with you the things I purchased. I already removed them from the box because they were a bit bigger than I anticipated. So I got this from Art Miranda, by the way. This is a 30 well palette from Holbein. I already took a look to make sure everything was okay. It looks like a very sturdy, nice palette. Oops. It's metal, as you can see. It doesn't have a ring, but it's okay because I'm not gonna bring it anywhere with me. And here it is. You have the 30 wells, and I bought this palette because I want to fill it in with some of my gouache. I have now quite a lot of gouache, and I would like to have them easy at hand to use. I have another little gouache palette I'm gonna show you now. This I got off of Amazon. You can see it has this to kind of protect better the paints. It's kind of a silicone matte, and here you have the 16 wells. There are some versions of this palette that also come with foldable water cup, but mine, I bought it like this. And I put some of my favorite gouache over here, but I have many more now, as you may remember from the past art haul. So I want to put them in this palette here, so it's ready at hand to use when I want, because I confess I'm a bit lazy of using paint straight from the tubes, because then I have to use separate palette to put them in, and if there's something left at the end, I don't like throwing paint away, just washing the palette, so I end up with a bunch of used palettes piling up here near the desk. So I find this way it's way more user-friendly. I can get them straight from here. So I think that I'm gonna make a separate video for the process of filling this palette in, because I have many colors I would like to put in. I made a list and it's already past the 30 wells, so I'll need to do to take some hard decisions. I think I'm gonna make a video or more about it. I had a series of videos in the past about me filling in spring watercolor palette. I'm gonna leave a card over here if you're interested in seeing that. It was a very fun process of selecting colors, and I really love my spring palette. I still use it, love the colors, so I'm excited to do the same with this one. And now the next thing I purchased, quite small. I got only one tube of paint this time. I managed to contain myself. It's another of the Holbein granulating paints. I bought the landscape set I shared in a previous haul, which I'm gonna also leave a card here if you want to watch. And I like the colors in that haul, but I was particularly interested in this one, which is Jade Vine Blue. That looks very pretty, and I didn't want to buy the whole set just for one color, so I was happy to find the individual tubes on Arte Miranda, and I'm going to swatch this one for you as well. And last but not least, I have a mammoth of a palette here, which I purchased without knowing how big it was. I confess I got a bit shocked when I saw the size of the pack. I was hoping or expecting it would be more or less this size, the palette, but you can see here, that's the one I got, the 50 well color palette from Mijello. the color wheel palette, as you can see here. The box is so big it doesn't even fit my screen here. And this is the palette. Now, I had already checked, like I said, my order to make sure everything was okay. So I had already opened this to check. I was very curious, and I confess, guys, that I was a bit disappointed with this palette in particular, because I was half expecting it to be a hard plastic palette with maybe locks on the top to fold and close properly so I could store my paints. But I hope you'll be able to see now how it is. It's a very thin plastic palette, but not the type of hard plastic that usually you get with palettes like this, for example. You know, this is also a plastic palette from Jello, you see. So that's what I was expecting, you know, with a latch maybe like this to close. And this is what I got. Look how thin it is, you see. It's kind of like those plastic inserts you get when you buy like colored pencils or boxes with tubes of paint, and they have the plastic insert with the tubes. It's more or less like this. So I was a bit disappointed because this was not cheap. This was 18 euro for the palette. I mean, there are palettes that are more expensive than that, but still, even though it's a big one, I don't know, I was a bit disappointed, but it was probably one of the only that could accommodate what I want to put in here, and I'm gonna show you now. So before I show you the paints I'm putting in here, I'll show you again. This is the cover. It has some spaces here, but I don't think it will be really good to mix because it's shiny plastic, and I have a feeling this will beat like crazy with watercolors. And also to close, it's not that, you know, you have to push it one against the other, and it's quite an inconvenient size. So you got what I want to say. That's a purchase that I wouldn't make again if I had known what I know now. So hopefully this will be helpful to you if you also have seen this palette or are thinking of buying it. You know what you're getting into. It happens to the best of us. Not all the time we manage to get an idea from pictures online, so I'm gonna make the best use that I can nevertheless. So I'm gonna show you what I want to put in here. I have in this box the full set of the Shinhan Pass collection. I bought the 48 set last year. I think it was around Black Friday or something like that. I'm not sure, I think it was Jackson's that had a very good deal on this set. And I wanted to get back into gouache, and I saw they were a mix between gouache, or the hybrid they're called, between gouache and watercolor. So I thought, you know, I'm gonna bite the bullet and try, you know, something new, I thought. And I like them, but to be honest, I haven't used them much because they are in this box over here and they get stored. And you know, same as with my tube paints, I always get what is close at hand, usually palettes or half pans. So I wanted to put this in a palette. They are 48 colors, so I'll fill almost all of these wells over here. And if you I haven't done any review proper of these or shared, because I wanted to first get used to them and see how I liked or not working with them. And I use them a lot in the Burp Fest, I think it was, the challenge in January, where you would paint a bird a day for the whole month of January. And I have a sketchbook tour. I'm gonna also leave a card here if you want to see. I painted all of the birds using these paints. It was quite fun. So I'm gonna start maybe by ordering these tubes in color order. and we'll be back to start filling the paint in. I think I'm gonna just put some music, speed up this part so you don't get bored, and then we'll be back after. I can maybe, if the video isn't too long, I can maybe share the colors of this set with you. So I'm back after a lot of organization here. I remember that I had made a swatch chart for this set, so I'm gonna share now with you all the colors that come in the set. And you'll notice here that I have added numbers to each of them. The numbers are the top, beside the names are the numbers on the paint tubes, but I add the numbers here to kind of figure out the order I want to add them in the palette. So yeah, it's takes some brain power to figure out. It's not that obvious sometimes. And what you notice here in this swatch chart is that there are quite a few type of neon tones, which I don't mind using from time to time, but it's not my go-to. Usually you have this yellow orange here, the pink, the opera, the lemon yellow, and there's a green here, light green as well. They're quite neon type of color, so I wouldn't consider these light fast. I'm not sure about the rest of the colors. These also may have some neon added to it. Lots and lots of blues and greens, as you can see, but the good thing is that you can also mix your own using these colors, and that's what I did when I used these to paint the birds back in January. I wouldn't recommend buying the whole set like I did. I was just buying on impulse out of curiosity. I thought it was a great price and I wanted to check something new. I don't regret buying the set, but if you can buy them individually and try and see if that's your thing or not, that's what I would recommend. So before I start putting the paint in the palette, I'm going to swatch that little tube from Holbein that I got. I have some watercolor paper scraps here, so I'm gonna use one of them to swatch. I have a big one here, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see better. Yeah, it was very, very full, so I may have to figure out how to save this maybe in a half pan. I'm gonna keep it in here for the time being. And now let's see this color. I'm very curious. It's supposed to have some purple or violet granulation. So far, to me, it looks a bit like cerulean blue type of color, or maybe a cobalt cerulean, but it's very pretty. I really like it. Maybe the purple tones will appear more. I can already see some of them, but maybe it will be more visible once we let it dry. But I'm gonna do another experiment here, since I have all that paint that squirted out of the tube. I'm going to take a tiny bit here and see wet on wet what it does. Looks like a very nice tone. And now I'm gonna do another little test. Not paint. Want to paint another block of color here and then add some water to it to see. Oh, this one is already separating beautifully. I really like this color. When I tried the colors of the landscape set, I was not super impressed, but I think it was the paper that I used. Could be the case that was not encouraging a lot of granulation. Sorry, I didn't see it was out of frame. But in this paper, it's look really nice. It's looking very nice. So as you can see here, you have some beautiful color separation between bright blue, dark blue, and some purple. Here, I'm not sure if you can see on camera for the moment, but I can definitely see the purple granulation. It's really pretty. And here you can see this type of purple granulation here, kind of almost like an ultramarine, French ultramarine granulation. So it's really pretty. I think it's one of my favorite Holbein granulating colors, this one. I'm so happy I got it. And I think now what I'm gonna do is gonna let this dry and I will come back to it. I'm gonna share. And I think now is the time. I had this in my legs because it's so big. It takes the whole space of the frame. And now it's the time where I'm gonna start filling in this palette with all of this. So I'll see you soon. Before I start, let me just preface with that. The one thing you may notice about this paint is some of them look quite liquid at the beginning. I don't know for what reason, if it's the pigment, but what helps is to shake it a bit so it can mix, or you can also use something pointy and long. I use this paper puncher here to mix the pigment and the binder so it's a bit more consistent. So I'm back. The sun is creeping on me here on the side. So I will just wrap it up, this nice session of filling in this huge palette. Look at my hand so you can have a proportion idea of how big it is. And I really love how it looks like this, filled in rainbow order. I did my best to get the colors more or less in order, starting with the yellows, reds, purples, and then going up to blues, greens, and earth tones. I did fill in with a big quantity of white in the middle because you usually use a lot of white with opaque colors like gouache or acrylics, and I put a little bit here to use for mixing, so I don't mind if it gets a bit dirty. And now I'll just wait for this to dry, and it can be re-wet easily because it's a hybrid between watercolor and gouache, so you can use dried from the pan without issue. And for me this is great because like I said, I like to have it on hand easily, see all the colors rather than be fiddling with paint tubes. I hope they will dry well. Like I said, some of them are a bit more liquid than others, like this fluo green over here, and the orange also was quite liquid. But from my experience while I was using them to paint the birds back in January, they dry fine on the palette, and then you can wet them with no problem. And I think that this will be good for me to use these paints more, to inspire me. I think that there's some color combinations here that can look very interesting. I'm looking forward to painting off of this palette here, even though it's quite big like I showed. And let me show you now, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. Let me show you now the dried swatch of the Jade Vine from Holbein, and it's very, very beautiful. Here you can see all the pretty purple using wet on wet. Here you can also see where I added a bit of water to the patch of paint, and here wet on dry you can also see this nice granulation. So I'm very happy with this paint, and I hope you enjoyed today's random session of palette building. I still have this one to fill in with my gouache, so if you followed me until now, please let me know in the comments which gouache color you think that I absolutely should have in this palette. Let me know your favorites. I'm really keen on knowing what are your go-tos. And yeah, thank you for following me here. Don't forget me to give that thumbs up, and I see you soon. Bye.